Hello, everyone. I'm excited to introduce Mansi Kampani, the newly appointed Chief Human Resource Officer at Encube Ethicals. With over a decade of HR experience and proven track record in enhancing employee engagement and work culture, Mansi has been integral part of Encube Ethicals since 2020. Thank you, Mansi, for joining us today. It is a great pleasure to be with you
Thank you
today.
so much, Garima, for welcoming me and giving such a sweet introduction. I'm also really excited and looking forward for an insightful conversation.
Same here. I want to start by congratulating you. So I hope you are all settled in your new job.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, and it's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward for how this journey is going to shape up.
So let's start by talking about your early life and career. Where did you grow up? Where did you went for school and college? What early projects did you do which shape your career? And any career defining moment that you would like to share with us?
So I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, and I was in Jamnabai Nursery School. Then I did my graduation from NMIMS University. I did my BBA from there, and
Mm-hmm.
post that I went to London King's College, where I did my post graduation in human resource and organization analysis. Post that, I was interning at Natural History Museum, and been a fantastic experience. Really career defining moments I've had there.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done my internships or my work prior to my post graduation in private sector or MNC culture, but it was the first time where I was doing it, in a government organization. It
Mm-hmm.
was really amazing and thrilling experience, especially a project on diversity and inclusion, which I was shadowing my head of the department there. And when it comes to diversity inclusion, in India we always consider the first and foremost is gender diversity, right? But while I was there, I saw so many avenues over there, whether it was for especially challenged, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was even with respect to race, whether it was with respect to locality. Whether genders, so everything put
Mm-hmm.
together, and so much of learnings there, which I'm talking about 4 years back, 4 or 5 years back, and while I came back, and in this 4 years, 5 years since I'm back, I see how progressive India has become also. So
Yes.
completely my
Mm-hmm.
understanding, which I
Changed.
had back then, is coming to use now, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you consider posh, and generally posh was always considered to be a women centric area, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
nowhere in gender areas, and it is for all gender, so including the third gender. So I guess it's really interesting that how my experience back then is coming to use now. And so
Exactly.
yeah, one of my very very early on career defining moment. After that, once I was back, I joined Mercer India under Global Mobility Department as a data
Mm-hmm.
analyst, and had some fantastic experience there, because it was thoroughly the first professional, you can say, role that I was leading.
Mm-hmm.
Also quite different from before, because earlier I was doing corporate HR, and now suddenly I was into consultancy and client facing work. So it was also
Mm-hmm.
quite different for me. And I think a couple of incidents that always stayed in my mind, was one of them was, for better communication. That was when I was dealing with my colleague in Delhi, and
Mm-hmm.
she and I were working on a project, and somehow we've had differences, and possibly had some conversations where which didn't go down well. And to give the
Mm-hmm.
feedback, instead of talking to her, I had emailed her, and to get my emotions out, I spoke to my sister right after shooting that email. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really funny. I was expecting my sister to be on my side, whereas she, in fact, scolded me that, Mansi, this was not the way for communication. You should
Mm-hmm.
have actually spoken to her first, and, you should have spoken all your feelings with her first, so that it's an amicable way of, dealing. And
Yes.
at that time, I didn't realize, but After that, I again went back to her and my colleague,
Mm-hmm.
and I spoke to her, and I apologized for shooting that email. That day I realized that just avoiding confrontation, communication can
Exactly.
cause so much of harm, and
And
it might as
misunderstandings. Yeah.
exactly, and you might as
Mm-hmm.
well use the most easiest and
Yeah.
most simple way of communication.
Exactly. Yeah.
So professionally, that was a big defining point, that how to do better communication, difficult conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
from my sister's feedback, I realized that mirror feedback is important. So don't
Yeah.
go to
Very important.
somebody who will tell you what you want to hear. Go to somebody who will tell what needs to be told, or
Yeah.
will be non-biased, and who will
Mm-hmm.
be having complete intentions of betterment for you, and I really feel that that is so much important. So today also, so many employees coming with me with whether grievances with managers, or managers with the
Mm-hmm.
employee, or with colleagues, if they come to me also, the first thought is always this, that how to be non-biased, and how to encourage them to be non-biased before,
Yes.
while having that
Mm-hmm.
communication. At the same time, what channel of communication is important. So
Yes.
it's really, really, really very, very important. So that was a very, very you can say hard hitting part for me,
Yeah.
and I really, really had learned a lot from that one incident itself. So yeah,
So it's
very.
like a rule that you have picked up very early in your career to swear by. Like it's your go-to rule that always keep the communication channel very open and transparent. And
Absolutely.
hmm.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I always believe in having these constant checks and feedbacks now, so that
Hmm.
you give that chance for the opposite person to release the feelings also, because that time, it's
Exactly.
more smoother rather than building
Mm-hmm.
it up. So I also personally believe that I should have that conversation if required, and if somebody else, I should give that space. But
Exactly.
blocking time is important. So not to barge in any time of
Mm-hmm.
the day, but to always have a pre-decided time, and go
Yeah,
and have a proper agenda conversation. That really works. That really, really works, Sarah.
that's great. So, what motivated you for your transition from head HR to CHRO at Encube? Like, was there any particular change that you were very passionate about?
Well, honestly, at the age of 18, 19, I had started doing my internships. And I was in my second year. Since then, I had this thing in me that I really, really want to become a leading HR personnel in life, and that was something I was
Mm-hmm.
manifesting always. So I really don't feel that, there was something else apart from this that could have ever happened. And when this happened, but I of course didn't anticipate it would happen so early on in my
Mm-hmm.
career.
Mm-hmm.
But so grateful, so fortunate, and I'm
Obviously,
really, really happy.
you must have worked really hard for it. Also, nothing comes easy in life. Obviously, if you have achieved it so young, so obviously you have worked really, really hard for it. Obviously,
Well,
it's a.
I will not deny onto that I
Mm-hmm.
tried work. I mean, I tried my best and worked hard, but it's also with the fact that I grabbed all opportunities possible my way whenever
That's
it
very
came,
important.
whether it means in internship, whether it means paid internship, non-paid internship, whether it
Mm-hmm.
meant even with respect to areas of work that I like or I dislike, whether because if HR is such a broad spectrum and there's so
Yes,
many things to do. So
yes.
whether you feel that mundane or monotonous work was there, which
Mm-hmm.
means even filing, filing of resumes and having that organized
Mm-hmm.
areas, I still didn't feel ever those were beneath my role, or that was
Yeah.
something that didn't excite me. Till date, if you ask me to source a CV, source a candidate, go on Naukri, do research, I'm all in for it, and I still do it. So I still get those if the open positions are there, and heavy vacancies are there, and if team requires motivation, I still do it. I still take the Naukri login, and I still will do
Mm-hmm.
it. So I feel that really worked in my favor, maybe because
Mm-hmm.
that shaped me up. But honestly, if you ask me today, the difference that I'm facing in, with the role shift, I don't see it except for the title change, because I've always
Mhm.
focused on one thing, and that is development of the organization that I'm working in, along with
Mhm.
the department of HR, right?
Mhm.
Um, one vision that I have, and I'm always carrying it forward, and that's the thing which I've told the team as well, that being a brand ambassador of Encube, being a brand ambassador of HR Encube, I think that is something I take it on my shoulder, and I'm going to be working towards how best I can improve that, work onto that, and I think it's super exciting times also in the industry, whether it's pharma, whether it's
Mhm.
HR, and so much to learn from different people around you. So super
Mhm.
excited how am I going to bring better ideas, best practices to the table.
Great. So, what are your thoughts about women being typecasted to fit into the role of CHRO as compared to other C-level positions? Like, is it connected to basically empathy? They are like biologically more empathetic towards people or anything like that? Like, what's your take on this?
Well, let's be honest. It's all mind games, okay? I feel.
Mhm.
Um, Having said that, I do understand why women is associated to be more sympathetic, having the soft side of it, and a male would definitely be having more male dominant part. So if I have to say, more aggressive, more solid, if I have to say so.
Mhm.
But I think again, it's just in the mind, and it's a conditioning that all of us are having ever since we're here in on earth. Like, I think that's how we are
Mhm.
brought up, right?
Mhm.
Starting from homes. I come from a very progressive household and a progressive background. And I've seen a lot of areas where families were not progressive enough, and now having that shift. So
Yeah.
that clearly shows that the world is changing. Everywhere there are quite good change that is coming, whether in other C suits or CHRO levels, where men are getting these senior roles. At
Mhm.
the same time, senior leadership, whether it's for an MD role or CEO role or CFO role, women are also climbing ladders there. And also I feel that uh, as long as you personally have that liking for a particular subject, you should definitely try and work hard for it. You
Yeah.
cannot keep that in your mind as that, okay, I am a female, I don't think so I can do business, or I will not be able to
Mhm.
do financial. That's not
Mhm.
my cup of tea. That's not the truth. That's really
It's
not the
it's
truth.
basically the drive they should follow. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So
Mm.
honestly, I feel that that's what I had spoken to my friends as well, who were confused
Mhm.
in their careers, or that you need to experiment. Like, when you get a chance, you have to do your internship. You have to understand why you don't want to do a certain thing. So, just giving you an example, when I was in BBA. Till
Mhm.
the first year, I was not really sure what I want to do. One thing, I got confident, I didn't want to do finance because it didn't excite me as a subject itself. So I was like, I
Mhm.
don't want to get into that area. Marketing was my major in BBA. I did a lot of projects in marketing, but still there was no, that excitement that was coming. So I always
Mhm.
say that the way HR happened was because I knew I was very strong on to understand what I didn't
Mhm.
want to do. So
Mhm.
nobody conditioned me that, Mansi, look, you are a people's person, so please get into, this
Mhm.
area, or condition that, okay, I don't think so, you will be able to pull it off in finance because maybe we don't feel that is for you. So I
Mhm.
didn't go into all that. So similarly, I feel this is a very important thing for every individual to know, that please experiment with your career, your areas, understand what you don't want to do if you can't
Mhm.
understand what you want to do. So that will, give you a nice idea and will give you direction. At the same time, I would also want to include that in today's day and age, every single leader needs to have a sense of empathy, sympathy, soft skills. Because with the Gen Z coming in, I think
Yeah.
be it MD, be it CEO, be it CHRO, CFO, or CBO, every single area, everyone needs to cultivate the art of how to deal with people. I think
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
really important.
Very important. Yeah.
So it's just not on the CHRO's shoulder anymore.
Yeah.
And So yeah, we share that completely with everybody. So I guess now you will see in next coming years and coming few decades also how things are swapping also between
Yeah, yeah.
genders. So yes.
Great. So let's move on to the topic of discussion that we have chosen for today, performance management with bottom up approach. So,
Yes.
could you please briefly discuss what bottom up approach is in HR management and how is it different from top down approach?
So, Garima, when I started off at Encube till last year, we've had an understanding of what balanced scorecard is, and which today also we follow balanced scorecard method of performance review,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we've always had this, way of thinking, which is a very generic way, which means that company goals gets decided, then departmental goals, and then individual goals. That's your normal thing that we always
Mm-hmm.
do. This year we came up with an understanding that over these past years, one of the areas that was not working well is that psychology of a human brain, like giving you a very small example, simple example of a child. um, when the child has an exam and 11 subjects are there, he or she will also be having a favorite subject, right, to study. But if the parent constantly says to do a subject which the person doesn't like or the child doesn't like,
Mm-hmm.
neither is he going to be focusing on the favorite subject to gain marks, nor is he going to be focusing on the
Yes.
subject he doesn't like, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's at the end of the day, it nullifies everything, and probably the performance goes even low,
Down.
which
Yeah.
could have been in a better way handled. So and also this happens where you constantly say that you need more attention, that you need to work more hard on to that. And when you condition that, the person constantly feels, okay, I'm weak in this area, right? And
Yes.
this is how it
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
So taking that psychology in mind, we felt that
Mm-hmm.
while always the company goals got decided, department and then individual, we were always giving the goals, right? So it was always
Mm-hmm.
tell and do approach. But we didn't like it because what happened, the performance was not improving in that way at all. So we had to figure
Okay.
out that how do we collectively make it more effective. So we
Mm-hmm.
took an approach of which is called ask and do. So for
Okay.
example, we decided the company objectives
Mm-hmm.
collectively, with 70 leaders, top
Okay.
leaders of our organization. We came together, we came to a common ground to bring in this five main objectives. Now
Mm-hmm.
once those five objectives were decided, what the plan was that we would take each of us would take those five goals or five objectives and take it down to our team and explain
Okay.
that why this is our objective. Now, once we know this is our objective, what do
Mm-hmm.
you feel that y'all are going to do to achieve these objectives?
Yeah,
So
that's
then
right.
their KPIs got decided. And once their
Mm-hmm.
KPIs got decided, the department had their goals ready. This is what, and then the company goals were finalized. So
Yeah.
this basically made it that, while the juniors or the top, bottom at people at the
Frontline.
bottom ones,
Yeah, frontline employees
yeah,
basically.
frontline employees or
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line
Mm-hmm.
employees, once they have their KPIs ready and they have chosen those, right? So the
Yes.
ownership is completely on them.
Yes. Yeah.
So and they will enjoy it, they will respect it, and they will also have psychological effect that they were respected enough to be asked what they wanted to do.
Hmm.
At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, having an understanding of complete feedback approach also, that to tell them what are stretch goals also. So if they have taken 4 or 5 KPIs, and when the managers have discussed in a surrounding, where there are
Mm-hmm.
3 4 people in the team having a discussion to build the department goal, I think it's really fun to also have that healthy competition also, to
Yes.
discuss, to unleash the potential of each one in the room. So I think that was
Mm-hmm.
really interesting, and somewhere today I feel it's so effective, because from the front line, from my operator level till MD, so every single person knows company's 5 goals, know what they are doing to
Mm-hmm.
achieve those 5 goals.
Yeah.
And till last year, this was not feasible. Like everyone knew their own objectives only. Some of them
Yes,
didn't even
yes.
know what company was aspiring to do, So I
Mm-hmm.
think this time it was a really different outlook altogether, but I feel more effective.
Yeah, they are a big part of achieving those objectives. So bringing them into the part of process, it's like really good, excellent approach. Let's talk about the strategies that you have found most effective in implementing performance review process. Like how does that, like at all levels basically. So how does that work at Ncube?
Right. So, one very effective one, as I mentioned, was this bottom-up approach. That was a
Mm-hmm.
psychological way of working, human psychology that we
Mm-hmm.
used. The second is feedback. So, even while the manager is sitting with the team, having this discussion going, it was such a nice way of understanding that first giving them an approach of why these five goals, then understanding why the employees have chosen the KPIs they've chosen. At the same time, the managers shaping those KPIs by stating what are the, maybe if someone has taken, unattainable goals, they are not smart goals
Mm-hmm.
enough, right? So how to explain that, okay, this is not realistic point of view. So the
Mm-hmm.
giving those feedbacks was really, really important. So setting up those meetings, encouraging those conversation, I think that really, really was very effective and important. So I think these two things really worked out. Yeah.
Great. Now, what practices do you have in place to encourage continuous feedback from employees? I think that's very important. One of the main goal for the HR department to get feedbacks and work on it. And obviously, if you have feedbacks, then overall performance of the company can be improved.
Of course. Of course. So, first of all, I think we have policy, you can say, is on transparency and open culture. That's the big, big part.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's never an fear that, if somebody is approachable or not approachable. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that as culture we've tried to create, whether it's with the MD sir himself, or whether it's with our CBO, or whether it's with me. It's always an open door policy, open culture, and that's what we've always encouraged. So, from shop floor workers to employees sitting at corporate,
Mm-hmm.
everyone. And that's been a big USP for Ncube, okay? Because being a value-driven company, having that understanding, that bringing that emotional quotient, we've always tried to encourage this.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you ask me personally, for myself, that's what I've always been doing, is always having a people centric approach. So that's one thing which kind of does give the encouragement to people to come and talk to you, to trust in
Mm-hmm.
you.
Exactly.
And also at the same time always maintaining a non-biased approach, giving a true feedback if the person
Yes.
is wrong, if
Mm-hmm.
the person
Mm-hmm.
is right, also how to take that forward. And that comes down to me also through my MD sir, because that's what his vision always been there.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, all the senior leaders there, we kind of try and practice this always. Apart from this, from performance point of view, if you ask me, officially in the process point of view, we do have a 6 months review where you of course have your mid-year check in October.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, I think every now and then we do encourage catch-up meetings. So personally, if you ask me again, every week I have a catch-up meeting with my team. The approach
Mm-hmm.
is always very simple, that what I feel is not always supposed to be right according to you all, right? So you all can't say yes to me always. So give me your feedback. And
Feedbacks.
sometimes they hesitate to tell you. So you have to say that, what, I want to know whether you are okay with
Mm-hmm.
this or not okay with this. If you're not okay, what is the other thing that you think about? So have those kind of conversation. So while I also talk to all the senior leaders, this is my way of speaking to them, that how you all can also encourage and
Mm-hmm.
conversation with your team members to understand
Yes.
their feedbacks also. So very important. And one thing I must say, that feedback always is not always going to be from your managers. It should be from your peers. It should be from
Yeah.
your entire team which is under
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, left, right, and center, all areas you
Exactly.
require it, and it really helps. It really
It,
helps.
yeah, obviously. Yeah. Accordingly, you can manage the whole, environment and whole drive of the people. Obviously, if employees are not happy with the manager or vice versa, it creates a huge problem. So that were some valuable insights and strategies, Mansi. It surely will help a lot of people to navigate through their workplace landscape. So, before wrapping this up, I have a couple of final questions to ask. Firstly, what advice would you like to give to a budding, aspiring HR professional who is aiming to reach at top, like yourself?
One thing I swear by is all battles are not your battles. So in HR especially, every problem is not your problem. You need to learn how to navigate issues. You need to understand your roles and duties well, which
Mm-hmm.
also means sometimes delegating. So you need to understand that art of delegation very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So just understanding this is very important, that all people centric issues cannot be solved by HRs.
Yeah.
Um, the second thing I would say is please never say never to any work that comes in your way, whether you feel that it is mundane, boring, beneath you, your role rather. No, nothing is like that. Even
Mm-hmm.
filing papers could be very useful. You
Yes.
may not realize at that point in time, but definitely in the long journey, it's really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I would just say that never say never to any work that comes your way. Take all opportunities, understand
Mm-hmm.
it very well. And last, I would like to also say this, that seek for help when required.
Yeah,
Yes,
very. Even HR
yeah.
professional needs their mental balance check now and then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we are kind of half psychologist, so that kind of
Yeah.
does help. But no, seeking for help is so much important. Being vulnerable is no harm. Um, it's okay if you don't know everything, and it's
Yeah.
fine.
You
But
can
you
always
definitely
learn.
need to,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
you
can.
of course need to learn, and
Mhm.
you definitely need to always understand the processes so well for you to understand whom do you need at what point in time. So seeking help
Mhm.
and art of delegation, very, very crucial.
Great. So, lastly, outside your professional life, what do you do to unwind yourself? What helps you stay motivated and charged?
What stays motivated and charged? I love to sing. I do singing classes as well, so that's really important for
So,
me.
classical, or like what kind of singing?
It's
Freestyle.
semi-classical, classical, you
Okay.
can say, Bollywood included, so it's both
Mm-hmm.
ways. And I love
Great.
watching movies and spending time
Mm-hmm.
with family and friends. I think you require your breaks to ensure that you
Yeah.
rejuvenate well for a working day. And that's what I feel, encouraging everybody to take their required breaks. Very important.
Okay. So, and lastly, who is your role model in the industry? Like, who do you look up to?
Yeah, Miss Nina Nair. If you
Yeah,
rightly
great.
mentioned right
Yeah.
now to me how to go from a CHRO to CEO,
CEO, right.
learning that is very important. I think true sense
Exactly.
of business partner,
Mm-hmm.
and
True inspiration to all. I
very
feel,
much.
yeah. So thank you for sharing your journey and insights with us, Mansi. All the best for your future. So would you like to add some closing comments?
Thank you so much, Garima. I think it was really nice talking to you, going down the memory lane as well, seeing myself in a journey that really, really I'm proud of. And
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that, as you rightly mentioned, that we see more and more gender diversity and all the C-suites,
Mm-hmm.
and there's never going to be any, I think, stoppage there for anybody. And I really hope that with my new role, I am able to bring in something new and fresh to the industry as well. So, looking forward for what is next.
So it was pleasure speaking with you, Mansi.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Yeah,
Bye
thank
bye.
you. Bye.